The Canine Kalevala, a retelling for young children.
Long, long ago, in a land far, far away, in a time of magician spells and magical creatures, lived many tribes of cats, dogs and wolves. Whilst the tribes mostly got along well, sometimes they fell out with one another. Like all good friends do, they squabbled and stamped their feet. But after a little while, they realized how much they all needed one another, especially when things got a little bit tricky. This is where the story gets interesting. One day, as Big Joukahainen was eating his breakfast, listening to the birds and watching the flowers dancing outside of his window, he overheard one of the birds chattering a tale of an old wizard called Väinämöinen.
Ha! What did I hear?
He shouted through his window.
Even though I may be younger, I bet that I am bigger and stronger, and my magic more powerful than any other wizard in the land.
He bellowed through his window.
Oh, no, you are not,
said one of the birds as they flew away. This made Joukahainen quite annoyed.
I will show everyone that I am the smartest, strongest wizard in Kalevala,
he said as he dressed himself and prepared his horse for his journey. On his hurried way, so determined to prove to everyone of how wise and powerful he was, he forgot to look both ways at a horse and cart crossing, when suddenly, crash! He had crashed into an old dog's cart, knocking all the apples flying and leaving both wagons destroyed in a pile of 1,000 pieces.
Why don't you look where you're going, old dog?
Bellowed Joukahainen. Little did he know that he'd crashed straight into the old wise Väinämöinen, who was left crumpled under his now broken wagon. Not only was he shaken by the whole event, but he too was upset by how Joukahainen was behaving, for the old dog on his old horse and cart was simply trotting along when the hurried Joukahainen had crashed into them, leaving them in a pile of broken mess.
Who are you of such importance and in such a hurry, whilst going nowhere to blame me for this mess?
Said old Väinämöinen. It was at this moment that Joukahainen recognized Väinämöinen and began to laugh.
So, it is little old you that the birds speak of as being so powerful, so wise and so strong,
chuckled Joukahainen.
I have come to prove to everyone once and for all, to show them of my greatness, that it is I who is the most powerful, strong and wise, and not you, little old dog. I will not compete with you,
Väinämöinen answered.
A child has only children's knowledge, not that of old heroes.
This made Joukahainen very angry, and he started to sing his most powerful magical spell.
Woof, woof, bow, wow. I'm so powerful, I will show you now. Wibbly wobbly, wobbly woo. My magic spell shall turn you into a piggy.
He chanted, but nothing happened.
Piggy!
He shouted again at the top of his voice, but again nothing happened. Väinämöinen could not help but laugh.
Your magic has no effect on me,
he said, and in that moment he too began to sing.
Oh, foolish young dog, why not turn me into something simple, like a frog? For I too can make magic as I sing. With that performance of magic, it really was quite tragic, fit for more of a clown than a king. I will not summon great seas, nor turn you into a tree, but instead, well, I hope you can swim. For besides you I conjure a muddy puddle and a blunder, and will watch you simply fall in.
Joukahainen, extremely annoyed by his failings, stamped his feet angrily. Jumping up and down, had not noticed the deep muddy puddle that had appeared just behind him.
I will show you. Just you watch, old dog.
He shouted, but as he turned, he slipped on a slippery leaf, falling face first into the deep muddy puddle.
Sing me out at once.
Youkahainen whined.
I will do anything. You can have my hat, my boat, my horse.
At this moment, Väinämöinen, rather amused by the whole event, requested only one thing from the young Youkahainen.
There is one thing that requires, one thing one desires when asking for forgiveness, that by everyone can be seen. You need to say something that can show that your mumblings were nothing more than a mistake you did not mean. What must I do? What do you want me to say?
Trembled the young dog as he splashed and wobbled around in the deep muddy puddle.
2 words that will do to get you out of this mess, it is true. Think of what you did and how you make others feel. For when you say these words, these 2 little things that can be heard, and let those feelings be heard and made real. I'm sorry. Please help me out of this mess,
Yelled young Youkahainen helplessly.
That is all I ask.
Replied old Väinämöinen, and he once again began to sing.
Out of the bog, not a lizard nor a frog, but a young dog who admits his muddle. Oh, wizardy wee, I summoned this stick from an old tree to help Youkahainen out of this stinky muddy puddle.
And in that instant, a long stick appeared in the old wizard's hand. Reaching out, he pulled with all of his old might, pulling Youkahainen out of his muddly mess. It had just so happened that, before Youkahainen had caused much bother, old Väinämöinen was preparing for the long journey to the village of wolves, as he had heard rumours of a beautiful and fair maiden of the north, and he had wished for many years to finally settle down and take a deserving woman as his wife. Youkahainen offered him a boat for his thanks and forgiveness, and off Väinämöinen sailed on an adventure for the ages.